Good evening and welcome to the Manorhaven Mayoral Candidates Night sponsored by the League of Women Voters. My name is Jessica Weaver. I represent the League of Women Voters and I will serve as your moderator this evening. I do not live in Manorhaven and I cannot vote in the election. The purpose of the League of Women Voters is to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government. The League is a nonpartisan organization and does not support or oppose any political party or candidate. Throughout its history, the League has provided opportunities for candidates seeking public office to take their case directly to the voters. We hope that you find this forum informative. Please consider joining the League. You can join by filling out the form on our website or by mail, again, using the instructions on the website. Before I get started with the procedures, I want to mention an event that is particularly pertinent. On September 22nd, between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., the League will be holding voter registration and information at the Port Washington Public Library. It will be safe and socially distant, and we hope to see you there. Now I'm going to read the procedures that these candidates agreed to for this evening, and then we will begin with questions. Procedures for the virtual meeting with the candidates. The moderator will be a member of the League of Women Voters from outside the district or area. The moderator will pull straws or flip a coin to determine the order of speaking. Each candidate will be allowed 3 minutes for an opening statement. After all the candidates have spoken, the moderator will open to the meeting with questions from the audience submitted electronically either before or during the forum. Electronic addresses for questions will be publicized with the forum and available on the League of Women Voters website. The moderator will instruct the audience to confine each question to the issues in the campaign and to take no more than 1 minute. Excuse me, okay. The moderator will be the arbiter of whether questions are appropriate, repetitive, or abusive. Questions may be addressed to a specific individual or to the candidates in general, although all candidates will be given an opportunity to answer any questions addressed to a specific individual. Each candidate will be given 1.5 minutes to answer each question. At the moderator's discretion, time for a response may be reduced as long as it is the same time for everyone. There is no rebuttal. The moderator will attempt to rotate the order of speaking for each question. A League member will act as timekeeper. The 1/2 minute from the end of any given time period, the timekeeper will warn the speaker by a prearranged signal. When the time is up, the speaker will be allowed to finish the sentence. Repeatedly speaking past the deadline may result in a candidate being muted. Candidates have 2 minutes for a closing statement and will speak in the same order as the opening statement. Since the purpose of the meeting is to determine the candidate's views, no substitute speakers will be allowed to appear should a candidate be unable to attend. The use of props, charts, or visuals and the distribution of campaign literature is prohibited. In accordance with League policy, audio or visual recording by authorized members of the media will be permitted only if agreed to by all the candidates present. The League maintains the right to record the forum and publish it on League of Women Voters controlled electronic pages. No other recording will be allowed. No partial transcript or recording may be published without written permission from the League. Those are the rules for this forum that the candidates have agreed to. And without further ado, we will have the first opening statement. We flipped a coin before this forum, and Mr. Avena, you will give your opening statement first.
I'd like to thank the Women's League of Voters for hosting this debate tonight. I am running for re-election as mayor because I want to keep Manorhaven moving forward. In 4 years, we have made great progress as a village. We have restored order to the village's finances, earning a AA+ bond rating from S&P, the highest rating in village history. Built up strong reserves and used both grants and favorable bonds to make a significant improvements to our infrastructure. This year alone, we secured over $900,000 in grants, $455,000 for needed sewer pump station repairs, $335,000 for trails in the nature preserve that will add Manorhaven to the Port Washington Bay Walk, and $125,000 for repaving village roads. We completed Morganstock Park and opened a beautiful amenity to the public last year. We have focused on beautifying the village. We improved the village preserve through a combination of public sector and nonprofit efforts, including Growing Love Community, the Native Plant Garden, and upgrades to the dog run. I am proud of how the community worked together to transform and preserve into such a wonderful place. Deputy Mayor Priscilla von Raslov led the effort to qualify the village for Tree City USA designation by Arbor Day Foundation and worked with County Legislator Delia Whitten to get the county's commitment to the upcoming $3 million renovation of Manorhaven Boulevard. Increased attention to code enforcement and East Public Works have made Manorhaven so much better looking than it's been for a long time. When I took office, winter side parking rules made all the residents miserable as they played musical chairs with their cars every day and risked expensive tickets. We vastly improved the village's snow removal performance and then safely abolished the winter parking rules. Now residents only have to move their cars when we have an actual snowstorm, a sensible solution that I knew we could do if we did it the right way, and we did. These are just a few improvements we have made during my tenure as mayor of Manorhaven. Joe Zimbardi will bring his outstanding business experience and commitment to public service to the Board of Trustees. And Priscilla von Raslov will continue to work hard for all residents. We are hopeful that we will have another 2 years to continue this great work that has improved Manorhaven's quality of life, fiscal health, and beauty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Avena. Mr. Costa, if you're ready. We don't see your video. Bear with us for just a moment.
Okay, now. Yes.
All right, Mr. Costa, we can hear you. Please, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Just be mindful of the timer. Hopefully you can see her and go ahead. We can't see you, but if you're ready to deliver your opening statement, you're more than welcome to.
My wife, Laura, and I have lived in Manorhaven for 38 years. While raising our 3 children, we were very involved with the Port Washington School District, the PYA, PAL, and the Boy Scouts Troop 7, where our 2 boys became Eagle Scouts. I've worked for UPS for 26 years, 10 years as a shop steward, managing over 300 people, now retired 11 years. I joined the fire department back in 1977, and after 43 years, I'm still very active in it. I have held many ranks in the fire department, in management positions, budgeting, sorry. I was a founding member of and the head advisor of the Port Washington Juniors since 2002 to present. I am a member of the Knights of Columbus and the Elks. I was also a founding member of the Christmas tree lighting on Main Street and co-chairman for 15 years. I was also very involved with the Port Washington Pride and Port. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Costa. Without further ado, we will start with the questions. And you, according to the coin toss, Mr. Costa, are going to answer the first question. We will start with, how will you make Manorhaven a safer and a better place to live?
How would I make Manorhaven safer? I would have the police patrol in the streets a little more than what they do now. I would have a better leadership going on with everybody, talking to the community people, see what the problem is out there, and listening to what they have to tell me of different things that are going on, because they're the ears and eyes of our community. I cannot be everywhere in one spot. The people are what tells us everything.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Mr. Avena?
Well, I think that we've used our code enforcement people to rectify any code violations. I'm also in touch with the commander of the 6th precinct on a regular basis. We've had a number of conversations. If we have a problem, we speak to him and he gets back to us. We are also in touch with the local patrol officers of Nassau County, and they stop by the village a few times a week, and we offer them any ideas or any problems we may have, and they're on top of it. And we're happy with the policing. And again, we'll continue to communicate with the Nassau County Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. Avena. The next question will begin with you. And that question will be, do you think dissolving the village of Manorhaven is a good idea?
Well, no, I don't think it's a good idea. If we dissolve the village of Manorhaven, I assume we'd be part of the town of North Hempstead. I think that the village runs very well. We're by ourselves in handling all the problems day to day. The people get excellent service. Our highway department is constantly riding around the village, fixing things. Our building inspector department is on hand all the time to answer any questions. And we do receive a lot of complaints from residents dealing outside of Manorhaven, particularly with the town of North Hempstead. So I think we do well as a unit. I believe that the people of the village would like it to remain a village for the future.
Thank you. Mr. Costa.
I agree with Jim Avena. I would never abolish the village. We will lose control of everything, our day-to-day operations, lose control of what the people would have to say to us. That's the most important thing here, is listening to the concerns of the community and what everything's going on around us. So I do agree, we do not abolish the community, the village at all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Costa. The next question begins with you, and it will be, what is your long-range vision to prevent the overdevelopment of the 5-pin steel property on Manhasset Isle?
The long-range development is, if elected, I would sit down with the BZA board, the planning board, the architectural review board, and discuss everything that's going on with it. I'm not in favor of skyscrapers. If we were to build 2-family homes or single-family homes in that development, I'd be the happiest person going. But the problem would be, I would see, is our infrastructure, our sewer system, the pump station, can it handle it? We don't know. I say no, people say no. We'd have to talk to the sewer department, Port Washington Sewer District, and see what they have to say about that, if it could handle it. Like I say, I'm not the person that says don't develop the land, but we got to develop it smartly. We don't need skyscrapers. We don't need 3, 4, 5, 6-story buildings at all. This community has a waterfront. Let's protect the waterfront. That's our main concern if I'm elected mayor, to stop the building on the waterfront.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Mr. Avena.
Well, there has not been any building on the waterfront since I've been mayor for the last 4 years. Regarding the infrastructure of the village, we have spent money repairing the pump station, and we just received another $500,000 grant to make further improvements. We've been working on the sewer lines for the last 3 years. We have cameraed every sewer line in the village, and we found a few broken pipes. We fixed them. We also have done an extensive cleaning of the sewer lines. So we'll continue to support that and have the system in top working order. I believe with the additional $500,000, for the pump station, coupled with the amount of money we spent thus far, will give us the support that we need for the village. As far as type and steel is concerned, I had preliminary conversations with them. I told them my feelings, and they have not made any kind of presentation. And as soon as we do get that information, I will present it to the village as to what their plans are. It's 10.5 acres. It's a big parcel of land, and it is on the water. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Avena. Since we have several questions about this, I'm going to continue with that particular subject. This next question will start with you, Mr. Avena. The 11-acre type and steel property in the village of Manorhaven is the largest undeveloped piece of open space on the waterfront in Manhasset Bay. Recent development proposals have advocated for 96 new clustered apartments to be situated there. What kind of master plan, environmental reviews, enforcement of zoning and public access will you advocate for any apartments and townhouses to be built there to protect the waterfront and reduce the impact on the neighborhood, including the sewer, schools, police, fire, parking, and traffic? It's a big question.
Yes, it is. Well, I mean, my plan is to wait and see what they are going to present. They know my feelings about access to the waterfront, which is extremely important, environmental concerns, the size of the buildings as well. So I'm going to handle it with after Typins presents a plan, a preliminary plan to the village to look at it with the zoning board, with the ARB, and with the planning board, as well as the residents, to hold a town hall type meeting. This is a very big project. And as you pointed out, it's the largest parcel undeveloped on the water. So we'll be very cautious, and we'll see what they have to say, and they'll hear what we have to say.
Thank you. Mr. Costa, same question. It was a long question. If you need me to read it again, just let me know. Mr. Costa, you're on mute in case you don't realize.
I'm sorry. Yes, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
It's a long one. All right. The 11-acre type and steel property in the village of Manorhaven is the largest undeveloped piece of open space on the waterfront in Manhasset Bay. Recent development proposals have advocated for 96 new clustered apartments to be situated there. What kind of master plan, environmental reviews, enforcement of zoning and public access will you advocate for any apartments and townhouses to be built there to protect the waterfront and reduce the impact on the neighborhood, including on the sewer, schools, police, fire, parking, and traffic?
If you look at Ashwood Road on they built 5 houses, I believe, backwards. There isn't a fire truck that's going to be able to get into that driveway there. I've been a fireman 43 years, and I drive everything in this fire department owns. You cannot get a ladder truck in there if you try. I don't care what you say. That was the worst thing we should have done. And the same thing with the type and steel property. I would bring all the environmental people involved, the DEC, environmental, everybody involved to it. To look at the land, to see what we could do correctly in there. Like I said before, I'm not against development. I would love to see Tom's Point set up there. It would be beautiful, I think. But we have to save this waterfront, no matter what we try to do.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Mr. Avena? Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. Next question to Mr. Avena. No, to Mr. Costa. Let's start over. This question is for you, Mr. Costa. Many residents recognize the importance of the upcoming election because they feel the village has reached a level of overcrowding due to conversion of many single-family homes into 2, 3, and 4-family rentals. Overdevelopment and overpopulation has caused further congestion on the roads, limited parking for residents, and sewage problems causing further degradation in the residents' quality of life. So there's another part to this question. For Mr. Costa, what actions do you intend to undertake to minimize overcrowding, overpopulation, and overdevelopment if you are elected? And for Mr. Avena, your additional addendum to this question is, What have you done over the past 4 years to minimize overcrowding and overpopulation, and what will you do if reelected? But this question, the first answer goes to Mr. Costa.
What I would do is, when I was fire inspector back in the 1990s, I was 6 years here, the fire inspector for the village of Manorhaven. I did all the rental controls, everything, enforcing the law, the rentals, the code enforcement of it. I've gone into everybody's apartment, checking things, making sure everything was safe. It even got into afterward, if people got in with the landlords. Every year I was after them, checking on their apartments. Yes, did I find overcrowding? We corrected that part. After 6 years on being a fire inspector, when the next mayor took over, he had stopped this. And all of a sudden, the overpopulation, overcrowding in homes have gone crazy. I've walked this neighborhood for the last 3 weeks, and people telling me houses that are overcrowded and all stuff overcrowded. I'm sorry, that are overcrowded, and you told the code enforcers about this, and they send everybody against you. When I did that, I said to them there was a problem on my street. Next thing, the code enforcers came after me for ratting people out, which I would say it shouldn't be done. If I'm mayor, that's not going to happen. I will not allow the code enforcers to do that. There's no way of retaliating against the people that say something to the village.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Mr. Avena?
Well, the last item Mr. Costa brought up was that he had complained about his neighbor regarding certain code infractions. The code department went down and the neighbor didn't have any infractions. However, Mr. Costa did. His pool had no permit. The basement had a stove without a permit. And they found out that he had, for a reduced rate rental registration, had said that his family member, I believe his daughter, lived upstairs, when in fact that was not the case. So I don't know if the people did not retaliate against you. They looked into your situation. As far as we have code enforcement, rental registration, we inspect the houses, we go over, we've already evicted 22 over-occupied houses. The landlords have been very, very cooperative, particularly the larger the larger landlords like Ressa. Ressa spends a few hours every month going around with Ron and checking out his apartments to make sure they're not over occupied. I think we've done a great job with that, and we'll continue to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Avena. All right, this is another long one with a lot of details, so bear with us. And it'll begin with you, Mr. Avena. Overdevelopment, especially the enormous increase in two-family homes and so many adult college-age children now living with their parents during the coronavirus pandemic and the economic uncertainty, has impacted the availability of on-street parking in the community. We have to cruise up and down the neighborhood streets, especially after dark, to find a place to park our cars and then face a long walk home. What additional steps would you take to improve the situation? Just start with that. What additional steps would you take to improve the situation?
Well, we attacked the alternate street parking problem in the winter, so that alleviated the parking during that period of time. As far as the present situation, I really don't have a simple answer for that. I mean, we certainly are looking at possibilities, but nothing has come up that we feel is realistic to be able to do that, to cut back the number of cars on the street presently. But we will continue to look at it, and maybe we'll come up with an idea that'll help for the future. But presently, there doesn't seem to be any solution. We have offered parking in our preserved parking lot, which is on Manorhaven Boulevard, that people could park there as well. We encourage people to park their cars on in their driveways, and if it's a long enough driveway, park 2 cars there. So perhaps with a little more effort by the residents to alleviate part of the parking problems, if they use their own driveways more rather than park on the street, would be a big help. So we have tried to encourage that in the past, and we'll continue to encourage that in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Costa?
Well, my plan would be is with the zoning board, I would tell them if you're going to build a 2-family house, just one curb cut only and make 2 driveways out of it. They've done it on Dunwood Road at many homes I've seen while walking the community. That's what my suggestion to them is. And yes, let the people start using their driveways. Everybody puts their cars on the street, but nobody uses their driveways. And that's very important. Like I say, 1 curb cut per household. That's it. Not 2 curb cuts where you got left and right parking. You're taking away the parking spots from the village.
All right. And this is an addendum to that question. Mr. Costa, I'm going to begin with you. This question basically lists 6 potential ways to address the parking problem and asks you which you advocate or do not advocate for. So those are, do you advocate 1, giving parking information identification stickers to residents; 2, limiting the number of cars per household; 3, requiring folks to use every possible space in their driveways; 4, increasing the mandated number of parking spaces on 2-family properties; 5, parking on lawns with case-by-case approval; and 6, allowing more apartment buildings and 2-family home conversions to be approved. Mr. Costa, beginning with you.
No, what I wouldn't allow is anybody parking their lawn. No way. I see that happening here now. I knocked on doors and says, why you have to park on your lawn? It's not right. I would tell people to park in their driveways. Use the driveways as much as possible. Go up all the way. Put your cars in there. That's what, and use their garages. They got storage in their garage. Nobody uses them. Put their car in the garage. You could put 2 or 3 cars in their driveway, depending on how many people in the household. But no, ID stickers, I don't think it would work. Because my kids come from out of town. What happens if they stay overnight? They're going to receive a summons? I don't know. But I say park in your driveways. Thank you.
Mr. Avena?
Yes. During my term as mayor, we approached the idea of parking stickers. Ken Kraft and I introduced that to the village. We had a public hearing. Much to my surprise, they weren't in favor of it. I understand Mr. Costa's concern about visiting, but that could all have worked out with temporary passes on a person's car. So I would certainly bring it up again, because that is one way that you could find out who is in the village. It would help us with the over occupancy as well. So it helps with both problems. So that would be the one I would look at more serious as we move forward.
Thank you. Mr. Avena, you will start with this question. It says, it's directed to you, but you will both get a chance to answer it or comment on it. Under your watch, your brother-in-law, Peter DeJana, received a variance to build a 3-story building and eliminate 50 parking spots. If you allowed him to do that, why should we believe that you won't do the same for the Type and Steel property?
Okay, Peter DeJana is not my brother-in-law. I do have a relationship with his sister, Antoinette DeJana Lewis. I know Peter by being the grant administrator of his foundation, which we distribute monies in Manorhaven. I'm no longer the grant administrator. I think each case is looked at separately. The project in question could have, he could have built 5 2-family homes. He decided to do it this way. The zoning board, which is independent from the Board of Trustees, voted on it. Now, during that time frame of the much heated debates and discussions, a resident had told people that she was turning over information to the district attorney saying that the board members were in Peter's pocket. I immediately called for an ethics committee hearing. We had Steve Leventhal, who's the ethics attorney. They elected Mike Masiello. The resident was called in, asked for the proof. They had none, and we moved on. So each case will be reviewed on its own merit, and the zoning board will make an independent evaluation and decision.
Thank you, Mr. Avena. Mr. Costa. You don't have to make a comment, but you are welcome to.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Give me 1 second. It was directed towards Mr. Avena, and it said, under your watch, your brother-in-law, Peter DeJana, received a variance to build a 3-story building and eliminate 50 parking spots. If you allowed him to do that, why would we believe that you won't do the same for the Type and Steel property?
I feel the same way that it was the board. It's amazing how the BZA board was packed with DeJana's people. DeLeo, we got a job for DeLeo as a town law Hempstead, Peter DeJana. Volpe lives in DeJana's house. Gibson lives in DeJana's house, and so on with the board. I attended many meetings with the BZA board, and I was very upset when we went to the Port Jewish Center. We sat there for over an hour, 2 hours discussing everything. And this poor lady, I won't mention her name, asked for 4 inches on the door for her wheelchair for her father, who's now deceased. And they denied it. And Gibson stands up and says, shut up, I'm in charge here. Everybody be quiet, and told the lady sit down. Well, I know if I was the mayor, I would have stopped that. The next day, that man would not have been on the board. Today, he still sits on the board, not as the chairman anymore, but as he's next to Volpe. Volpe's the chairman, if I understand that correctly. And also he's given 7 variances for it. The parking, 50 cars on the street in that area. There's no parking allowed there. Where are these 50 cars going? That's what the people are so upset about right now. So you can't trust the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. The next question begins with you, sir, and it said it will be, Mr. Costa, you say you will cut taxes. How will you cut taxes, and what services will you cut when the village's tax contributions are reduced?
Once I get, if elected mayor, I have a plan. Right now, I'm not a mayor right now to tell you how to do it. Once I get in there, I'll go over the budget with the BOT, Sharon, with the accountants. I will look everything over, and at that point, I could give you a better idea.
Mr. Avena, you're welcome to comment per the rules of this forum.
The information regarding the budget can be accessible by anyone. We have a budget meeting once a year. We have BOT meetings once a month where the financials are presented. If you had come to the meetings, you could have gotten the budget versus the actual, and all the financial information would be at your fingertips. So to say that you have to be the mayor to take a look at it, well, that's not really true. Any individual in the village has access to that information. And if need be, and you wanted to discuss it, we certainly have the accountant available. Sharon is the treasurer. She'd be happy to discuss it with you, as would I.
Okay. Next question begins with you, Mr. Avena. Do you support switching from the Nassau County Police Department to the Port Washington Police Department?
Well, we had this discussion 2 years ago where we were prepared, we the village. I was working alongside of Trustee DeLucia. We met with the commission of the police, Port Police. And we had real serious discussions. We even decided upon, or we discussed a amount that the village would have to pay to the Port Police. We thought we were going to have a deal, and the commissioners got together and they decided to table it because they're waiting to get new headquarters built to house additional patrol people. So they could accommodate us. But it was a very good idea. I'm still in favor of it. Even though the police from Nassau County have stepped up their efforts, I feel that have one police department on a peninsula, it's pretty much the same bad guys in both neighborhoods. So I would push for that again. Hopefully there's been a turnover at the commission level, and maybe we could have another discussion in the near future to move that project possibly to its conclusion. Thank you.
Mr. Costa, same question.
Can you just repeat the question?
Sure. Do you support switching from the Nassau County Police Department to the Port Washington Police Department?
No, I believe the Nassau County Police are doing a great job for us. If we switch over to the Port Washington Police, I don't know how much the cost would be, more or greater or less. I don't have that information to say yes or no. But no, I think the Nassau County Police are doing a great job here.
Okay. Mr. Costa, the next question begins with you. What is your relationship? It's directed to you. What is your relationship with Peter Dejana and other local developers? How will you minimize their influence?
I have no relationship with any developers. I'm willing to sit down and talk to everybody and anybody, from the regular residents of Manorhaven to the developers. I'm more than happy to listen. I will not promise anything to anybody. I will listen to what they have to tell me, and then I will work from there. I'll get them their answers if they ask me, but it's very important. Excuse me. What our Manorhaven Liberty Party is independent leadership. That's the most important thing. I'm not related to anybody in any shape or form, just to let everybody know that. I am an independent leadership. That's what the Manorhaven Liberty Party is about.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Mr. Avena, you're welcome to comment on that, given the rules of the forum.
Well, I will say that I obviously meet with the builders, the developers individually, and we discuss some of the plans they may have. And we're willing to listen to any ideas and take it through its normal approval process. And we will be fair in each case.
Thank you. The next question begins with you, Mr. Avena, and that is, do you pledge to do a current radiation audit on the cell phone tower in Manhasset Isle and make the readings available to the public in a timely manner, no matter what the cost to the village, along with an understandable chart comparing the new levels to prior levels over time?
We certainly will prepare to do that. We've done it in the past. We will continue to do that to make sure that the radiation levels are at the level they should be at. So yes, we will. We have done it, and we will do it in the future.
Mr. Costa.
I agree with Mayor Jim Avena. We have to continue on testing it, whatever it is, every 2 months, 3 months. That information I'm not privileged to. When it is supposed to be done, yes, it will be done. We have to protect this village.
All right, thank you. Next question will begin with you, Mr. Costa. The village government is basically a the village government is basically a 4.5 million business with the union and non-union employees, 5- and 6-figure contracts, etc. A mayor monitors all expenses, income, capital improvements, deferred acquisitions, etc. to protect residents' tax dollars. What qualifications do you and your team have for running a business and managing a budget of this size and magnitude?
Like I said before, I'm a fireman 43 years. I've been held many ranks in the fire department. Through a budgeting, buying trucks, vehicles, equipment, personnel, managing them. And managing also, like I said before, UPS, over 300 personnel with other people besides me. And getting accountants in there and go over the whole budget and see what everything's about.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Avena?
Well, I have a BS in accounting, as well as being the former president of Cantor Fitzgerald. A vast financial background. And I will continue based upon what we set up to monitor all the expenses as well as the income. We meet with the accountant on a monthly basis, make adjustments when necessary, but I'm very much on top of the finances. We received a AA+ rating from S&P. We have over $300,000 in reserve. So financially, we're in great shape and we'll continue to go in the same direction.
All right, thank you. Mr. Avena, this next question will begin with you. It says, I am new to Manorhaven. In what ways do you feel the quality of life eroding?
I don't feel the quality of life eroding at all. I would say to the contrary. As I mentioned in my opening statement, we've done a lot of beautification, whether it be Morgan's Dock Park. We've beautified the preserve. It's absolutely beautiful there with the growing love and the native garden plant. We are now going to do the paths within the preserve. So the streets are much cleaner than ever been. We've asked, the residents have helped us with doing curbs and sidewalks. We've started a paving program. We're on top of any of the homes that have been abandoned, because during my administration, if the homeowner, if they're there or not there and they don't adhere to the code, we then go in and do it ourselves and attach the property. So I believe the quality of life, and I've spoken to a number of people, and I received overwhelming support for the fact that I have done well and will continue to do well. Thank you.
Mr. Costa?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. I'm new to Manorhaven. In what ways do you feel the quality of life eroding?
What we got to do here is protect our waterfront. Whatever's left of it, that's the most important thing here. I've walked these streets for the last 3 weeks. I've seen properties that are just atrocious. Going Kirkwood Road, there's two properties opposite each other. I'd be ashamed to live next door to that. There's other properties throughout this village. Just walking up the streets, it's just, I understand that there was a lot of beautiful homes here in the village, but the problem is there's some that are just need a lot of work. Look at Inwood Road, the house that's been sitting here. Nobody's been living in, I'm gonna say 5 to 6 years. The house looks atrocious. Nobody's done nothing about it. You got broken steps on people's homes, the walkways. Something's got to be done with that. Thank you.
All right. This question begins with Mr. Costa. It says, Mr. Farina has a plank in your election platform relative to the individuals overcrowding rental apartments in Manorhaven. Aside from the Avena administration's efforts to crack down on illegal overcrowding without invading privacy and civil rights, what would your administration specifically do to alleviate this problem, especially considering how many dwellers have school-aged children and ties to the community?
Well, overcrowding, if mother and father have children, that is fine for them to live in there. But to have your aunt and uncle and their family move in on it, there's many houses that have overcrowding with 10 plus people. Just one house on Marwood Road has probably about 12 people, the way somebody was telling me. Meanwhile, the landlord says, well, I'm not going to do nothing about it because they pay the rent. Well, we got to do something about that. The people are afraid to say anything because code enforcement and building inspector go after you if you say something. And if I'm elected mayor, that will not happen here. If you say something, I am fine. We will look into it. That's it.
Mr. Avena?
Yeah, no one has ever commented to me about the code enforcement retaliating against complaints that they receive. That's almost preposterous as far as I'm concerned. We encourage people to come to the village and fill out a form or tell us verbally of the problems that they want us to look into. We do not retaliate. We never have, nor do we ever intend to do. If Mr. Costa could be specific, I certainly would listen to that if he comes down to the village to discuss it. As far as us going into homes, we're very aware of civil liberties. And some of the things that were done years ago under the fire marshal duties are no longer permitted. So we go in with the code enforcement. We're not allowed to go into anybody's house without notice, etc. So the civil liberties might have been violated, but now you cannot do that.
I think we're going to do 2 more questions. This one will begin with you, Mr. Avena. What actions do you intend to undertake? This is regarding the type and steel development. What actions do you intend to undertake to minimize the detrimental effects on the sewage, roads, and crowding?
Well, the sewer, we are definitely have improved and will continue to improve. I am waiting for Type and Steel to present their plan to the village. And as I said, we'll go through in very detail. We will find out what they're looking to do. The Board of Trustees will meet, as well as the other boards. And we'll also have, because of the size of this project, we have town hall meetings to discuss it. We anticipate that we'll be able to control it, see what goes on. I am not in favor of building on a waterfront, and I want to repeat that there has not been any development of waterfront property since I've been mayor.
All right, and last question, beginning with you, Mr. Costa. It is actually addressed specifically to you. Your flyer states that you will plant more trees. Do you know that the Avena administration has planted dozens of trees and are so focused on planting and protecting trees in our village that they have a tree committee and an Arbor Day Foundation named Our Village a Tree City USA? Mr. Costa, you're on mute.
Yes, I've said yes. We need to plant more trees. We don't want the village to look like New York City, Brooklyn. Go down Hickory Road, Furwood Road, Graywood Road. Tell me where the trees are. I'd like to know. They've been taken away once the driveways were put in, redone their front of the yards. There's no trees there. You do have trees, but you need more. This is suburbs. You don't live in the city of New York or Brooklyn, like I said before. Let's bring back the trees and make this a beautiful area, because we have a beautiful waterfront here. And we want to preserve everything here in our village. We want to make it nice for everybody. Make it greenery. I don't want to look at cement. Thank you.
Mr. Avena?
Well, yeah, again, the designation was given to us as a tree city. We have been continually planting trees. We will definitely, with that in mind, to plant more trees, certainly. Again, we did receive from the Arbor Committee the designation. So I believe that we are moving forward with the trees in our village, and we'll continue to move forward.
All right. Thank you very much to both the candidates. All right, so why don't we do our closing statements, beginning with you, Mr. Avena.
Thank you. If reelected over the next 2 years, my administration plans to continue the great work we've started. The $3 million Manorhaven Boulevard project that will completely transform our village's main street is finally beginning. The county advised us that they are planning to begin this fall, with work being completed no later in spring of 2021. As I mentioned, we have secured grants to continue our repaving projects. Roads are being repaved in the order of the greatest need, and we will continue securing grants for additional paving until all the streets that need paving are done. The $500,000 that we received will completely overhaul the sewer pump station, a critical project that has been overdue for years. The $335,000 grant from the county will enhance the trails in our beautiful nature preserve, including addition of lights and security cameras. Anyone who hasn't been to the preserve should visit it. It's really a special place. Of course, we will continue to ensure taxpayers' dollars are being spent the most wisely for the benefit of all the residents. I am proud that we continue to make improvements to the village while growing our surplus to over $300,000, which I had previously mentioned. I am proud of how far the village has advanced during my tenure as mayor over the past 4 years, and I'm honored that Priscilla and Joe are my running mates. Individually and collectively, we have the life experience and sound judgment to keep building on this record of progress. We will be grateful to the people of Manorhaven for their vote on September 15th, for the privilege of continuing to represent you at Village Hall. Let's move forward together as a village. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Costa.
My closing statement, I would like to say, if the Manorhaven Liberty Party will always work for the people of the village, for the children, everybody involved. We want fair, independent leadership. We want to plant more trees on the streets, make this more of a suburb, not New York City, like I said before, Brooklyn. We don't want that. We want to stop the development of Manhasset Isle, the overdevelopment of Manhasset Isle, even in Manorhaven on our side here. We don't have enough room for all the cars right now coming out of Manhasset Isle if we ever did something with Typhon Steel. We just don't have the room for them. And we're building these oversized homes. We got to stop with giving these variances to the developers. Why not build it within the code? If we stay in the code, this village would be beautiful. These developers need to make the houses bigger, their bedrooms bigger. Why? And they tell you we need it because we get better rents out of them. And we have to stop that to give these favoritism to the developers. Let's make it a fair board all across for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. And I just want the viewers to know that due to technical issues, Mr. Costa was unable to use his video, but we do appreciate you making yourself available nonetheless to answer the questions submitted by people watching this forum, Mr. Costa.
Thank you.
In closing, thank you for listening and for your attention this evening. I want to remind you to vote on September 15th for your village officials. For the general election on Tuesday, November 3rd, we want to let you know that you can vote 3 ways. You can vote in person as usual at your regular polling site, wear a mask. You can vote early, beginning October 21st to November 1st at any of the 15 polling places in Nassau County. You can also vote by absentee ballot, where New York State now offers an online portal for ordering a ballot that will arrive in September if you order it this week. And you can drop your absentee ballot off at any of the early voting sites during early voting. Finally, remember that both New York State and New York Assembly will be on the ballot, and our League of Women Voters will be holding a virtual candidates night forum for the candidates representing them on Tuesday, October 20th. Again, live streamed at our League website. I would like to request people who are watching live streaming to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can name it for easier access. And I want to thank you for your time and attention this evening. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.